Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. We always love hearing from you all, and you guys sent in a ton of really interesting stuff about AI, like where it's going, how fast it's developing. And it seems like we're at a really, I don't know, a pivotal moment, right? Like the decisions we make about AI right now are going to have a huge impact down the road. So we're going to try and tackle this big question today.
Yeah, for sure.
And it really boils down to this. When AI really takes off, like really takes off, who benefits the most?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't
Yeah.
it? The core of the issue, the stuff you send in, basically gives us two main paths forward. One, where AI stays mainly under the control of, the big tech companies.
The Googles of the world.
Exactly, a very centralized model. But then there's this other really interesting possibility, this decentralized vision. And your sources brought up ArcBlock's DAI as like the leading example of this.
Yeah, DAI, and that's what we're going to unpack today. So our mission today is to compare these two approaches, make sure everyone really understands the core differences, and then maybe most importantly, help you see how this stuff could actually play out in your own life.
Yeah, because this isn't just theoretical. This stuff is going to have a real impact. And to get a good handle on what ArcBlock is doing with DEII, it helps to keep in mind the four main technologies they're bringing together. Like four pillars, right? Decentralized identity, which we'll just call DID from now on.
Makes it easier.
Yeah. Then there's blockchain, of course, the AI itself, and then crypto payments. We'll be touching on each of these as we go.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's dive in. And I think when a lot of us think about AI, one of the first thing that pops into our heads is like speed, like how fast it is.
It's pretty amazing.
Right. I mean, think about something as simple as using Google search. You type in a question and boom, answers galore. That kind of speed is a major advantage of centralized AI, the way it is now.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that responsiveness is kind of the defining feature of these centralized systems.
Yeah.
They're built for that. Massive computing power all in one place. But, it's worth asking ourselves, are there other things that might be just as important as that initial speed, or maybe even more important in the long run?
Right, because speed isn't everything.
Exactly. So with a decentralized system, like the one ArcBlock is building, because you're spreading the processing out over a whole network of computers, there might be a little, a tiny bit of a difference in that initial speed. Like it might not be quite as instantaneous as what we're used to with Google.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, it's not necessarily about just accepting a slower experience. Like your sources mentioned, ArcBlock is putting a lot of work into speed improvements. They've got these things called MCP tools, right?
Yeah, they're working on it constantly.
So it's more like a trade-off they're making, maybe a little less speed at first, but in exchange for some big advantages in other areas. So what makes that trade-off so appealing to them? Like, what's the big deal?
Well, they see it as a worthwhile exchange. The focus shifts, right? From just raw speed to this whole other set of benefits, like giving users more control over their data and building systems that are way more resilient, which we'll get to a little later.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's talk about costs then, because honestly, so much of the AI we use right now feels, free.
Right, like it's magic.
But, we all know that if something seems too good to be true.
It probably is. There's always a cost somewhere.
Right. I mean, think about all those chatbots that pop up on websites or the free AI image generators. We're not paying with dollars, but often the price is our data, right? Our privacy.
You hit the nail on the head. With centralized AI, it might seem free, but they're gathering your information. They're using it. And a lot of times you have no idea how. Decentralized AI is trying to flip that on its head. Instead of your data being the payment, you might contribute, computing power to the network by running a node.
Ah, like being part of the system.
Exactly. Or there might be a subscription for some services. But the core idea is to protect your privacy and get rid of that hidden cost of your data being the product. Because let's be real, that data collection, it can be used to target you with ads, even manipulate your choices.
And this is where that DI thing comes in, right? The decentralized identity.
Yep, that's one of Iggy's.
How does that work? Like, how does DI actually keep my information private when I'm using AI?
Think of DID as a digital passport that only you control. Instead of giving all your info to some company every time you go online, your DID lets you choose what to share.
Ah, so I have control. I decide what they get.
Exactly. So you can interact with AI without automatically giving away your whole digital history.
Okay, I like that. I'm in control. And the sources mention crypto payments. Where do those fit in?
Right. Crypto payments are another way to break away from this whole data as payment thing. Instead of your data being the hidden price, You could use cryptocurrency to pay for specific AI functions, or even to help support the network. It's more direct, more transparent.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture here. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk about ease of use. Like, how simple is it to use these systems? Because let's be honest, centralized AI is pretty darn easy. Like, my phone's voice assistant, it's just there, ready to go, no setup. Simple.
That's true. That it just works factor is a big plus for centralized AI. They've put a ton of effort into making it super accessible. And look, decentralized AI might have a little bit of a learning curve at first, just understand how it all works.
It's a different way of thinking about things.
It is, it is. But ArcBlock is putting a lot of energy into making it user-friendly. They want everyone to be able to use it, not just tech experts. They've got these no-code tools like the translation agent that you mentioned in your sources. So even if you don't know how to code, you can still build and use AI applications.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So it's not just about making things easy to use, it's about giving people the power to create with AI, not just be a user, right?
Precisely. It's a huge shift from being passive to being an active participant, a creator in the AI world. That's empowerment.
Okay, I like where this is going. So now let's talk about, the actual responses we get from AI, because centralized AI can be super fast, but sometimes the answers are kind of generic. Or even worse, biased.
That's one of the big criticisms, yeah.
Right. And one of the sources had a great analogy of it's like a fast food menu. You've got options, but they're all kind of the same. Not a lot of unique flavor, not something tailored to your specific taste.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Centralized AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. And that data is usually controlled by one company.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be kind of limited. Decentralized AI is trying to solve that by using a much wider range of data that's controlled by lots of different people.
So more diverse ingredients, better flavors.
Exactly. And over time, that can lead to responses that are more nuanced, more personalized, and hopefully less biased.
I like that. The source even compared it to a community barbecue. Everyone brings their best dish, and you end up with something way more interesting than what one chef could make on their own.
It's a great analogy. More variety, better quality.
Yeah, exactly. So ArcBlock's DAI, by tapping into this bigger pool of data, is aiming for a higher quality, more personalized, and less biased AI experience over the long term.
That's the goal.
Okay, so control. This seems like a big one. With centralized AI, you often feel like you're kind of just handing over your data and hoping for the best.
And crossing your fingers?
Yeah, totally. The company, they set the rules. They decide how your data is used. One source put it like this. It's like a chef serving you their dish, and you have zero say in what's on your plate.
Yeah, you're at their mercy.
Right. And with ArcBlock's DAI, they're trying to change that completely. The whole point of decentralized identity is to put you in control. You own your data. You decide how it's used.
It's a completely different approach. It's like having access to all the ingredients and being able to cook your own meal.
So it's about data sovereignty, having the final say over your own information. That's huge.
It is huge. It's moving away from this idea that your data is just a product to be bought and sold. It's recognizing that it's yours. It's personal.
Okay, so we've got control. Now let's talk about transparency, because centralized AI can feel really opaque. Like a black box. You don't know how they're making decisions or what's happening with your data.
Yeah, it's a real concern for a lot of people.
Right. And that lack of transparency, it makes it really hard to trust the system.
Makes sense.
So with decentralized AI, especially when it's built on a blockchain like ArcBlock's DAI, things are completely different. Blockchain creates this permanent, unchangeable record of everything. Data interactions, everything. One of your sources said it's like a public recipe book.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Everyone can see the ingredients, the steps, how the whole thing was made.
Makes it much harder to hide anything shady.
Exactly. So with ArcBlock, this transparency isn't just a nice feature. It's built in from the ground up. You can actually see what's happening, which builds a lot more trust.
That's the idea. Transparency builds trust.
Okay, so we've got control, transparency. What about resilience? Like, how tough are these systems? Because with centralized AI, if the company's servers go down, the whole system crashes.
Single point of failure.
Right. It's like a restaurant closing for the day. Everything just stops.
Yep. And that's a big vulnerability. Decentralized AI is designed to be different. It's spread out across lots of computers, lots of nodes, so it's naturally more resilient. If one part goes down, the rest can keep running.
So it's like a potluck, right? If one person can't make it with their dish, there's still plenty of food to go around.
Exactly. It's built to keep working.
So ArcBlock's DAI is more robust, less likely to be disrupted. It just keeps running.
That's the beauty of a decentralized system.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, but here's another big one. Who actually gets to participate in the world of AI? Because right now with centralized AI, it feels like the big companies have all the power.
Yeah, the playing field is definitely tilted.
Right. And it's hard for smaller creators, independent developers, even just regular people to compete or even get access to the same tools. We've seen it with things like, Gemini, Copilot, Claude. They all have their own restrictions.
That's a huge problem. It limits innovation.
Hmm.
Centralized AI creates this kind of closed system where only the big players can really play. ArcBlock's goal with decentralized AI is to change that.
Yeah.
They want to make it so anyone can build and use AI. One source used the analogy of a community garden.
Oh, I like that. Everyone gets a plot.
Yeah, everyone gets a space to grow their own stuff, and everyone benefits.
So it's about democratizing AI, making it so everyone can create and contribute, not just consume.
Exactly. And who knows what amazing things people will come up with when they have that kind of access.
So let's zoom out a little and look at the big picture. ArcBlock's vision for decentralized AI is really starting to come into focus, right? It's not just about one or two isolated benefits. It's about all of these pieces working together.
Absolutely. It's about synergy. And their core vision, really, is about empowering the individual user. Decentralized identity gives you control, protects your privacy. Blockchain provides that foundation of transparency and trust. AI, driven by this huge, diverse data set that users control, can deliver more personalized, less biased results. And then crypto payments let you make seamless, decentralized transactions.
It sounds like each of these four pillars, DAD, blockchain, AI, and crypto, they all strengthen each other, creating a much more user-centric system.
That's the idea. It's about rebalancing power, shifting it away from big corporations and towards the people. Deity ensures your digital independence, blockchain provides that verifiable foundation, AI becomes a tool you control, and crypto payments allow for a more equitable exchange of value. It's about building a digital future that's fairer, more resilient, and more inclusive.
So when we think about the choice between centralized and decentralized AI, it's really about understanding the trade-offs, right?
Exactly. There are pros and cons to both.
Like, on one hand, you've got the convenience and speed that centralized systems offer, but on the other hand, with the decentralized model like ArcBlock's DAI, you potentially have more control over your data, more privacy, more transparency, more resilience, and more access to both using and building AI.
It's a tough choice,
Yeah.
but a really important one. And while centralized AI might feel easier right now, ArcBlock is betting on a different future. One where users have more power, one where data ownership matters, and one that's built to last.
So the big takeaway here is this. The way AI is structured, it really matters. And it's not just a technical detail, it impacts who benefits the most. And decentralized models offer a real alternative, a way to put users in control.
Absolutely. It's a question of values. Do we just want convenience? Or do we also care about privacy, about control, about a more open and innovative future?
That's the question, isn't it? And here's something to think about as we wrap up. Imagine a future where all your online interactions, from searches to creative tools to even managing your money, it's all powered by decentralized AI. How would that change your digital life? How would it change your relationship with the companies you rely on?
Something to ponder.
It really is. And if you're interested in learning more about decentralized AI and what ArcBlock is doing, we'll include a link in the show notes. It's www.arcblock.io, content collection Sinane.
Great resource, yeah.
And it's clear that AI is still evolving. It's early days. So understanding these choices, understanding how AI is built and who controls it, that's going to be more and more important in the future.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.